All right, gonna get started in just a second. Alrighty, let's get going. There we go. All right, let me post something in chat real quick. All right, so it is November 28th, Sunday, as usual. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. I did. Had my brother, his girlfriend, my girlfriend's family, and my family all in town. So a true full Thanksgiving. Very, very good fun. Watched a lot of football. Thankfully, both of our families are pretty chill. So, unlike a lot of the stereotypical stuff you see out there, no heated political debates at our table talking about Rittenhouse or crypto or whatever the hell people were talking about this year. But yeah, I hope you guys had a good one. Hopefully, you weren't alone. Although I have been alone before. I'm trying to think. Ever since I've been in Atlanta, I think I've always gone home back to Alabama to hang out with my parents on Thanksgiving, but I know there were at least a couple here and there where I spent them alone. But I don't really mind. I don't really mind being alone, so not that big of a deal for me. But it is nice to have family in town to let everybody see and experience some of the loved ones that they're with. That's definitely one of the things that I've empathized with a little bit more as I've gotten older, just how infrequently you see your family, and then just how fast time is going by. It's kind of fucked up, but started watching this Netflix series. I'm like 3 episodes into this. I think it's called The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez. Unless you're into, or unless you're ready to watch some really heavy shit, I actually would not recommend watching this documentary. It is a incredibly fucked up story, an incredibly fucked up documentary. Basically, this little kid was tortured and killed. I think he was 8 years old, like really, really fucked up. But one of the things it made me think of when I was watching that documentary is how the passage of time changes over your life. And, you know, now it's like a year goes by pretty fast. Like, even when my girlfriend and I were talking about it a few days ago, like what we did last Thanksgiving. And when we were talking about it, we're like, wait, was that last thing? Like, there's no way. Like, it just seemed so recent. But a year when you're older, isn't that long. But a year when you are a little kid seems like an eternity. And that was one of the really messed up things about this documentary when I was watching it, was just thinking about this little kid being tortured. And I think it was over an 8-month period that this kid was tortured. And I'm not going to say too much about it here just in case you guys want to watch it or end up watching it. But this isn't a loose use of the word torture. And it's not just me using it, it's the people in the documentary making it. It's the legal case that they presented against his parents. It was legitimate torture that they enacted on this kid. And I'm just thinking, man, I'm 31 years old. If I was tortured the way this kid was for 8 months, it would seriously fuck me up. It would be a nightmare. But that's a 31-year-old's perception of 8 months. To think about an 8-year-old kid, I think he was 8. Very young. He was like under 10. To think about an 8-year-old kid getting tortured for 8 months, like, man, it just really fucked with my head. Because that had to have seemed like forever to this kid. I'd heard about it before I watched it. And I remember the guy who told me, Brendan Schaub, if you guys are into MMA or UFC or anything like that, then you'll probably know Brendan Schaub. But I remember him talking about it on his podcast, and he was just like, dude, it's so fucked up. It's so bad. And I can't even remember if he finished the series. But it legitimately is that bad. I'll probably finish it. I don't know if my girlfriend's going to. It fucked her up way more than it did me. I mean, it was definitely fucked up, but it wasn't like, I gotta turn this off. I can't watch this. I kind of want to know what happened in this case. But it's one of those few shows, one of those few documentaries where they show a trigger warning at the beginning. And I know, we've probably mocked trigger warnings on this channel many times, but it's one of the few situations where there's been a trigger warning, and 10 minutes into the show, I'm like, yeah, this actually deserves it. This actually deserves a trigger warning. I still don't know if that's the terminology I would use, but it's incredibly fucked up. And one of those things that I think, whoever makes the documentary, the editors, the producers, all of those guys and girls, just one of those things that I think is kind of in the best interest to have a trigger warning, especially if you were abused as a kid. Just a good heads up to have, like, hey, by the way, if you were abused, this is probably going to be really fucking hard to watch. And honestly, if you just have a heart, this is probably going to be really hard to watch. It's a rough one. So proceed with caution. That's what I would say about that. Oh, yeah, but back to my earlier point about time. Yeah, that's one of the things that as I've gotten older, I just kind of learned to appreciate a little bit more. Because, like, let's say, just to really be super depressing right now. So 2021 minus 1967. So my dad's 54 right now. Let's say he dies when he's 80, right? 26 years. 26, let's say I see him 4 more times a year. That's 104 more face-to-face interactions that I have with him. And thankfully, the relationship I have with my family is a very good one. But even if your relationship with your family isn't the best, I think it's worth kind of doing that math sometimes to kind of like write it down and be like, okay, let's average the last 5 years. How many times have I seen my parents? How many times have I seen my brother? Twice a year? Okay, well, if they have another 30 years left, I'm only going to see them 60 more times. Right? That's not that much. So I think that's one of those things, like when I was in college, even like fresh out of college, I didn't truly appreciate. And the older I get, the more I'm like, time's limited, man. Like, you got to make the best use of that. And you got to appreciate the moments, especially when there are people around you who are older and don't have as much time to really appreciate that. And I think the other part of that, or the other thing about life that kind of makes me think in that way, is just the temporariness. I don't know if that's the right word. The temporariness, the fragility of life just really kind of starts to hit you. Like, when I was a kid, like, at no point did I ever, like, question going onto theme park rides, going onto roller coasters, going skydiving. It was just like, yeah, that'd be cool. Going to, like, a fair, hopping on a Ferris wheel or something like that. Like, I just never questioned it. And now when I'm older, and I don't think I'm old, I'm 31, I'm still very young. But now, like, I remember when I went to go skydiving a few months back, and it was my second time skydiving, but it was like 10 years apart from the first time I did it. So it was like 21 and 31. And it just felt different. It was like the consequences of it were just so much more real. It was like, what if this is literally the last thing I ever do? Whereas when I was 21, I was just like, let's go. Let's go. This is awesome. And I was just ready to jump, ready to try and break that world record. Whereas this time, I'm like, the reality just kind of hit. I'm like, you never know. What if this is it? What if I'm just here for a good time? I'm going to jump out of this plane, and then that's the last thing I ever did. Not so much with skydiving. There was still the logical part of my brain in the background that was like, dude, it's not that dangerous. It's more dangerous driving here than it is jumping out of the plane. So there was still that going on. But yeah, just some things where I think I normally would have taken a risk. I just start to realize, like, is this worth it? Is this the hill to die on? Do I really want to go on that Ferris wheel that bad? I don't know. It's kind of just standing on wooden blocks. Yeah, maybe I'll pass on this. Does that make sense? I don't know. But yeah, to move off of some of the more depressing Netflix stuff I'm watching, I gotta say, I am super impressed with this other series I've been watching. It is Arcane, based on, or I don't know if that's the right word, but takes place in the League of Legends universe, which was created by Riot Games, one of the biggest video games of all time, I guess you could say. Get back. There we go. I gotta say, I haven't finished it yet, but if you're looking for a new series to watch and you're into fantasy animation, which I'm actually not, which is another reason why I'm so impressed with this story, or you're a big League of Legends fan, definitely give this series a watch. Now, I just kind of checked it out just because it's League of Legends. League of Legends is gigantic, and I was just curious to see what they've done. And I got to say, they've done a great job. And this is coming from somebody who can't get into animation all that much. I don't know why. There's so many animes that have these amazing sci-fi premises that I read like the Netflix description, or I read like the little plot summary on Wikipedia. I'm like, oh my God, this sounds amazing. And then I start watching it and I just can't get into it. But I can actually get into Arcane. It's actually really, really good. The art style is amazing. The story is a little bit hard to follow if you're not super into the League of Legends universe, which I'm not. I don't enjoy the game at all. I don't even watch it as an esport. So if you're going to watch it, and maybe watch the first episode. If you think you're going to be into it, then go on YouTube and watch like a spoiler-free Arcane Universe Explained type of video, just because it'll help a little bit. But yeah, I gotta say, I'm pretty freaking impressed so far. It's really good. And Riot Games, I think, is kind of pioneering a new business model. I'm not really sure. Fried Rice says, I only watch old reruns of sitcoms like Seinfeld and slice of life comedy anime forehead. Yeah, I've actually been rewatching Seinfeld as well. My girlfriend has never seen it. Crazy. Thankfully, it's on Netflix, so we've been watching that. But League of Legends, I just had to check out because it's just such a big company. And it's one of those companies that's like turning into. I almost want to say they're going to kind of be like the Facebook of entertainment. And what I mean by that is Facebook is like this big conglomerate, right? They own Facebook, they own WhatsApp, they own Instagram. Like they just have so much going on. But a lot of it is in like the social media space, the messaging space. They're getting into AR, VR, but they're just this giant company that kind of has their foot everywhere. They kind of are doing a little bit of everything, or at least trying to. I feel like Riot Games is kind of headed in that same direction. And they're just like slowly doing it. If you're into it, I think you can see it. But right now, I think Riot is almost kind of in this like. It's like Facebook when it was only for high schoolers. Because Riot started out just making a video game, right? They made League of Legends. They probably made something else before that, but League of Legends was like the real big one that popped off. But since then, they now do music videos with like legit artists. They have, what is this thing called? Let me find it. KDA Music. They have like this whole set of characters. And this is like, it's kind of weird, right? These are all just like virtual members of this band. I mean, they have real singers behind them, but these are all just like characters from the game. And then they like do legit posts. Thank you to our fans. You made all like they're not real. But it's still there, and they have 500,000 followers, but they always do these posts. They even do like
achieve as much as you can, be as much as you can, because why not? Why would you settle for less?
So they even do like interviews with all of these characters that are a part of their band, but they actually have music videos, and they're legit good music videos. They're legit good songs. And at first, I remember watching that, and I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. Hopping onto the whole K-pop thing. They made these characters that are, you know, the frontmen of the songs that they're creating. And then out of nowhere, it's like, okay, now they have a Netflix series? Like, how long is it until they turn into a straight up production company? I don't think it's that far away where people like our parents will be watching shit on Netflix or YouTube and they won't even know Riot's behind it, or they won't even know like who made this. But all the kids watching will be like, oh my God, this is Riot's latest thing. Ah, they're like freaking out. But the parents are just like, oh my God, have you heard the new Squid Game thing? Like, just something that kind of transcends gaming, transcends the League of Legends universe to where like the average people are watching it. I really feel like Riot Game is headed in that direction. In the same way that Netflix kind of did it, right? Because when Netflix first started out, it was just, I want this movie. They mail it to you, you watch it, you put it back in the package, you send it back. Nobody saw the Netflix of today coming. Nobody saw all of these Netflix specials that you're watching, all these Netflix TV shows, like everything's produced by Netflix. At first, they were just the middleman. They were just trying to get rid of Blockbuster, trying to get rid of Movie Gallery, Video Warehouse, whatever you guys used. And then they got big enough, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, Netflix produced a TV show? Like, okay, that's kind of weird. And at first you're like, okay, it's just one. And now it's like, I can't scroll through Netflix without seeing something produced by Netflix. I feel like Riot's headed in that direction. I feel like that's what they want to do. Where they'll create a video game and it gets big enough to where they still might make the video game. But then they take that IP and just run with it, right? Because how many people, like, obviously this is decades in the making, but think about, like, if there was a Donkey Kong movie made or a Mario movie made, it's not like only gamers would go see that. There'd be a lot of normies, a lot of, like, non-gamers that would still go see a Mario movie, right? I feel like that's the direction Riot wants to head. They want to turn League of Legends into an IP that everybody's into, not just gamers. And if I had to bet on anybody doing it, it might be this. Because, look, I'm just going off of Rotten Tomato scores. The scores are amazing. IMDb, 9.3 out of 10. And if there's anything that is, like, primed to get shitty reviews online, or to get shitty reviews in general, it's any video game property being made into a TV show, or video game turned into a movie. There's very few that have worked out. But when I'm watching Arcane, I'm not like, oh, this is a video game TV show, and only people who watch the video game are going to be into this. I think anybody can be into it. It's really well done. It doesn't seem like low budget at all. Sorry. Riot is just trying to branch into a lot of stuff. They are making a League of Legends RTS and fighting game. The fighting game actually looks really, really good. And honestly, they could bring fighting games back to a degree. I mean, I know EVO's really big, but I think the problem with fighting games is that you just have to be down with a game that's going to take a lot of time to feel like you're good at. Because even like first-person shooters, even if you're not like insanely good, you can play a game and feel like you're good, right? You can play like a pickup game and have fun and feel like you're good because you're still killing people. There's not like moves you have to execute. But with fighting games, there's like such a huge skill gap that you'll watch Evo, you're like, oh my God, this looks amazing. And then you play and you're just like, just like the same punch over and over. You're like, this is fucking dumb. So I feel like it's going to be really hard for a fighting game to like ever hit like Fortnite level big. But from the clips I've seen of that new fighting game, it looks really, really good, really crisp. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if in 2 years, that's the fighting game. They probably know they can't ride the League of Legends MOBA train forever, so they're expanding to other stuff. Yeah, probably. It's probably part of it is that, but I think part of it is also they have a good team that is actually being forward thinking. Because I feel like you could say the same thing with Fortnite. I feel like Fortnite blew it. Fortnite had, like, it was there. Fortnite was there. But they've kind of fucked it up, right? I feel like Riot isn't going to. League of Legends, or not League of Legends, Fortnite had the recipe to take Fortnite to the next level, I think. But then they just kind of like turned it into Candyland. They like dumbed it down to like little kids. And then everybody kind of lost interest in it. So yeah, I think part of it is they know they can't ride the MOBA train forever, but part of it is also that they have a forward-thinking team that realizes what they have, and they're like, let's run with this shit. Because, like, Blizzard's not really doing this. Valve isn't. And I feel like a lot of those guys have IPs that they could do it with, but they're not. speaking of, what do you think of this whole metaverse thing? Honestly, I don't really know too much about it. Let me see. Let me just do this short little video here.
Imagine you put on your glasses or headset and you're instantly in your home space. It has parts of your physical home recreated virtually, it has things that are only possible virtually, and it has an incredibly inspiring view of whatever you find most beautiful.
Hey, are you coming?
Yeah, just gotta find something to wear. All right, perfect. Oh, hey, Mark. Hey, what's going on?
Hi.
Mark. What's up, Mark?
Whoa, we're floating in space?
Uh-huh.
Who made this place? It's awesome.
Right? It's from a crater I met in LA.
This place.
Fried Rice says it's basically VR chat for Facebook.
Oz, is that you?
Of course it's me. You know I had to be the robot, man.
I thought I was supposed to be the robot.
Yeah, I gotta say, just off of that minute that I watched, I'm not sure why so many people are shitting on this. I think the majority of it is that it's coming from Facebook. That's my guess. But are people like not thinking this is the future? That this isn't where things are headed? Like, why FaceTime? Why Zoom? Why Google Hangout? Let's say your family couldn't visit you for Thanksgiving and you're about to have your meal. You're like, well, let's call grandma and grandpa. Let's talk to them, say happy Thanksgiving. Okay, yeah, you could FaceTime them, give them a phone call, hop on Zoom, whatever. Nobody would shit talk that. What's the big deal with the metaverse? Again, I'm not like some big Facebook guy. I don't even know if I have an account. But yeah, I'm not the biggest Facebook fan. But I'm not going to shit on the metaverse just because it's Facebook. If it was like done poorly and I'm like, ooh, this is not what I expected this to look like. But look, if you can hop into virtual reality and play poker with your friends, like, why the fuck not? This is the direction we're going. Like, I don't get the hate. I think just based off of the little bit I've heard, like I heard Joe Rogan talk about it briefly. I've heard some other people. I think it's just the presentation. I don't know if they were necessarily hating on AR, VR as much as they were hating on Facebook's presentation of it. Because, I mean, surely everybody thinks that's where we're going, right? And to kind of jump back to movies for a little bit, the new Matrix, what is it? Matrix 4? I forget the name of it. Matrix Resurrections. Yeah, comes out on Christmas-ish. But yeah, to get prepared for this movie, my girlfriend and I actually rewatched all the Matrixes this week, all 3 of them. Like, why is the Matrix so interesting? Part of it is that we think that's where things are going, if we're not already there, right? Some people think, oh yeah, the Matrix is an inevitability. Some people are like, what if we're already in it? Either one's pretty plausible, so I don't get why we would shit on the metaverse if you either think the metaverse is the future or we're already in it. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to this movie. I'm just hoping it doesn't suck. Please don't suck. It's gonna. Oh my god, please don't suck. I liked all the. After having rewatched the trilogy, I liked it. I think they went downhill as the series went on. I thought one was the best, second best, third best. And the only reason I put the third one as low as I do is just because there was a lot of fight scene in it. Like the battle with the Sentinels. Is that what they're called? A little bit too much of that. Whereas like the first and second, when there's just these like long monologues on that just totally fuck with your head, like I like that. And then the third one was just a little too much machine gunning. Not that it couldn't have been in there, but I just think it was a little too long. But overall, I was happy with the whole series. I thought it was pretty good. Really good, actually. But let's just hope they don't fuck it up with this fourth one. Because I feel like there's a lot of potential for it to be really good. It says 20 years after the events of the Matrix Revolutions, Neo lives a seemingly ordinary life as Thomas A. Anderson in San Francisco, where his therapist prescribes him blue pills. Neither he nor Trinity recognize each other. However, Morpheus offers him the red pill and reopens his mind to the world of the Matrix. Yeah, I feel like there's actually a lot of potential here because it's not just like a continuation of the previous story. I mean, it is, but it kind of isn't in a way, right? Because they've just like re-rolled the Matrix. So now it's the 7th iteration. I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff that they can do there. Whether it's standalone or another trilogy of movies. I kind of hope they just leave it at one, but yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of potential here. I just hope it doesn't bomb because it's such a good series. And man, what a, like, you want to talk about a series that just like stamped itself onto the fucking zeitgeist of the world of America. I don't know if it's as popular elsewhere, but like the whole red pill, blue pill thing, like that's not going away. That just exists. That's just like in the world now. And I was telling my girlfriend this last night. If you guys don't know this story, I was telling her that Neo was originally supposed to be Will Smith. I'm hoping this is a real story. I hope I didn't just pull this out of my ass, but I've heard this a few times. But Neo was originally supposed to be Will Smith. Will Smith at the time was a little worried. Let me pull up his Wikipedia page just to get some of the movies right. But he was given the possibility to be in the Matrix, and he was just worried about his, getting boxed in because he'd done Independence Day, he'd done Men in Black, he'd done like these sci-fi movies, and he didn't want to get boxed into that. He didn't want to become like a character actor. So he does Independence Day, he does Men in Black. He's like, ugh, The Matrix. Like, I think he thought it sounded cool, but he was just like, I don't want to be that sci-fi actor. So he turned it down. For Wild Wild West. That's the movie he did instead of The Matrix. God, that's gotta like... I can't imagine. I mean, I think this is just part of being an actor. You just gotta be okay with like swinging and missing sometimes, or not swinging and knowing you could have hit a home run. But man, it's got to be a rough one to turn down a movie like that. And then decades later, red pill, blue pill is just a part of our world. It's like, hey bro, are you red pilled or blue pilled? Are you black pilled or white pilled? Like, the pill is just thrown around endlessly. And for Will Smith, I mean, I guess it's nice when you're already sitting on a fucking bag of cash. But the artist in you has to just think like, motherfucker, dude. I turned down The Matrix. Cause like let's find another movie. Like The Pursuit of Happiness, I Am Legend. Right? Like some of those movies, like when they came out, it was like, yeah, they were good movies, you know? Like people liked them. I, Robot. People are like, when I, Robot came out, they're like, yeah, that was a good movie. Right? Pursuit of Happiness. Like, oh, that was a real uplifting movie. I Am Legend. Liked it. But those aren't movies that we're like talking about decades later. They haven't like stamped themselves into the fabric of American culture or whatever you want to call it. But The Matrix is here to stay, man. That's just not going anywhere. And that's just gotta fuck with your head. Wild Wild West was a good movie too. I honestly don't know if I've seen it. I might have seen it like right when it first came out, but I just know the way Will Smith told that story. It was not like, bro, I did Wild Wild West. He was like, I turned that shit down for Wild Wild West, bro. Like, really? Would Will Smith be as good in that role, though? I actually think Will Smith would have been an amazing Neo. And this might come off as a surprise. This might be blasphemy to some of you people. Now, I like Keanu Reeves. I've liked him in a lot of stuff I've watched. Let me just take a look at his filmography real quick. From like the time I've been around. So Speed, I've seen Speed. I'm not a big movie guy, so bear with me. Speed, I think I've seen Constantine. John Wick, just watched that last night, actually. There's actually a lot of shit he's been in that I've never... He was in Toy Story 4, really? But what I was going to say is, I like Keanu, and I know he's like the internet's favorite actor. But I think he's kind of overrated as an actor. I don't think he's bad, but at no point when I was watching The Matrix was I just like, oh my God, this movie could not have been done without him. Or at no point was I thinking like, oh, his acting just like blew it out of the park. I feel like he's kind of replaceable in that movie. Like, am I crazy for that? I like him as Neo, and now that now that he's been in it, I'm like, yeah, solid choice. But it's not like, I'm trying to think of another, like a good example. Whoops. Did you guys hear that? I think my keyboard became unplugged. But yeah, there are just certain movies where you're like, oh my God, it would not be the same with any other actor. I didn't really feel that with The Matrix. I'm like, yeah, he was good for it. I think it was a good movie. He didn't take away from it, but I don't think he added so much to it that I'm like, I can't see this movie without him. So personally, seeing Will Smith, I actually think he would have been pretty good for the role. Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, what's that one movie? No Country for Old Men? Yeah, like sometimes, you get this motherfucker cast as like the creepy dude, and you're like, oh my God, they nailed it with that casting, right? Like, imagine if Michael Cera was this guy. You'd be like, bitch, get out of here. But sometimes they nail it. Like that guy, I'm like, I look at him, I'm fucking terrified. I'm like, I don't want to mess with that dude. I didn't really get that with Neo in The Matrix, or with Keanu in The Matrix. But who knows? Who knows? The Matrix was supposed to have Will Smith and Jet Li. Who was Jet Li supposed to be? Huh. Maybe Seraph, it looks like. Yeah, Seraph. Okay, that wouldn't have been as bad. But I kind of like that there weren't like a ton of big names in movies. Like whenever I see movies like that, when they're like Will Smith, Robert Downey Jr., you know, like every Tom Cruise, Gal Gadot, Margot Robbie, you're just like, dude, this isn't Super Smash Brothers. I don't need every fucking giant actor in one movie. That doesn't make a movie good, right? I actually like when I see a movie and I'm like, I know none of these fucking people, and it's still a good movie. I don't mind one or two here or there, but whenever you throw 30 giant actors in one movie, it just kind of feels like fake. I don't know how to describe it. It just doesn't feel like a movie. It just, yeah, The Expendables. There you go. They just throw all the things at it. It's just like a game that's like, dude, we went all out on the graphics. It's like, is the game fun though? But look at the graphics. It's like, I don't give a fuck. I want a good game. I want a good movie. And you can't buy me with actors. I mean, it just goes to show you. That's how non-into movies that I am. Whenever I tried naming actors, I came up with like 4 names, right? So it just does nothing for me. But let's hope. It's a good one. I think that's what my girlfriend and I are going to do on Christmas. Going to go watch The Matrix and just pray that it's good. I'm hoping like Dune quality movie here. Probably won't be that good. Dune was pretty fucking awesome, but a guy can dream, right? A guy can dream. Dune. If you guys still haven't seen Dune, go see it. And maybe like read a little spoiler-free intro to the world because it's a lot in the movie. All right. Anyways, guys, I got to get running. I got to eat some lunch. I still haven't eaten lunch yet. Kind of crazy. It's almost 3 o'clock here. And then my girlfriend and I are going to the sauna, sweat it out for a little bit, and then going to watch a little bit of football and relax for the rest of our Sunday. This Sunday, I'll post a little update on my channel. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be in town this weekend. Might be going down to Tampa for one of my girlfriend's friends' baby shower. But there's a chance we might not go because my girlfriend's still kind of recovering from a slight sickness. Nothing contagious, though. She doesn't have COVID. But yeah, we'll see. It's just kind of up in the air. But yeah, I'll do a little YouTube post, let you guys know. But yeah, that'll be December 5th, 2 p.m. Eastern, as usual. If you guys like the video, leave a like on this. Subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date, more information. And leave a comment. Are you guys optimistic about The Matrix, or are you like, this shit's gonna suck, dude? I hope not. Anyways, you guys have an awesome Sunday. Thank you for watching. I'll see you maybe next week.